Howdy ho.
Hey, Jared.
Oops. Make. Oops. Oh man. I made you co-host and then removed you as co-host. Like, oopsie. Well, awesome. How are we doing?
Good.
Good. Frank got a deal under contract just yesterday, the day before. So shout out to Frank. Okay. Mhm. Oh, and just an update. So you guys remember that earlier this week, it was on well last week and Monday we did some live we did a live um negotiations with that with a guy with Eric brought in. Um, so we got another appointment with him on Monday. So hopefully we should have everything wrapped up by then. So crossing fingers, that's we're able to get all that stuff taken care of. I'm optimistic. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I know we talked a little bit about objections yesterday. I wanted to move into kind of like the buyers list, but does anybody have any questions about yesterday or something or anything else? Maybe a deal they're working on, or if you're ready to kind of move into to buyers 101, like we can start talking about finding buyers, negotiating with buyers, all that fun stuff. The email blast you send out, everything.
So I have a question actually with what are they called? The videos, the recordings. I
Oh,
still don't
yep,
see
yeah.
anything past the 24th.
So, because you're the one that put on the comments, right? Or was
Yep.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was me.
So I was looking, I was like, yeah, this should be up there because I thought I set up this automated system where it takes the video and then because it takes it from Fathom note taker and then supposedly like puts it into my pre-done ChatGPT,
Uh-huh.
and I wasn't verifying that it was on, and so I thought it was getting uploaded and being fine, but no, I it was user error. That's
Whoops.
what happened.
It
But
happened, right?
yeah. So I'll get them up. We have all the recordings of everything. It's just not uploaded. So
It's all good. I was like, wait, am I like the only one that's doing it? But then somebody else was saying it too. So
yeah,
okay.
yeah. No. It's a thing. It's real. Yeah, yeah.
That's all good. Then I have another question. So that
Yes.
lady, why can I think of her name? Brittany, I think it is, that we talked
Mhm.
to a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
I've texted her once to just see if she knows any more from her ex, and she hasn't replied back. She's seen the message, but
Oh yeah, in Harriman or something like that. Is that right? Where
yes.
she's at? Yeah.
Uh-huh. What's
Mm.
another way without saying follow up? Because
Yeah, you
I
don't want
just
to follow.
I don't remember how I worded it. It wasn't anything to do with follow up, but I'm like wondering if give another week. I don't want to be like too much of a pain, but at the same time, I'm like I want to kind of get the ball rolling. If she actually
Sure.
is serious about stuff, so
Hmm.
what's a
Yeah.
good thing to
So,
say?
uh, what was the last message you sent to them? And it was
Let me see if I can find it. Oh wow. So it was actually middle of last month. I thought it was for some reason. Nope. Yeah, middle of last month. Nope, just kidding. Sorry. Was looking at another one. End of last month. I just said I was checking
Yeah.
in to see if she was able to talk to her ex,
Mm-hmm.
but she didn't say anything.
Didn't
So,
respond to that at all. Okay.
uh-uh.
Well, I would send a message. There's a couple go-tos that I usually use, just my in my Rolodex, I should say. One is I had it in my calendar today to reach out to you or to text you about our last conversation.
Right. I like that idea.
So it's like not so much as like, oh, I'm following up. You're saying follow up without saying follow up because that puts you in a
Right,
lower
for sure.
status, right?
Yep.
As a salesperson. So another way to do it is, or another one to do it is because ideally you always leave the door open for more communication, no matter what the ending is, whether they take your offer, whether they don't take it, or whatever. Um, I like to say, as promised, as promised, I said I would reach out to you in a couple of weeks, or I would reach out to you again about our last conversation, or about this property, or whatever the subject kind of was.
Okay.
So I like to use the word as promised. Um, gives you a bit of trustworthy feel. Excuse me, trustworthy feel, and you're doing what you're saying. So that's always helpful. So there's as promised, and then there's the
I had it in my calendar.
yeah, how to my calendar, and then if there's not responding even after those, then this is not one I would use like just throw around willy nilly. But if you
Uh-huh.
send a couple messages that's not responding at all, then I would use the never split the difference Chris Voss email, or well, message. You use it in text or email, but it says in his is, have you given up on whatever whatever thing you're doing, right, or whatever you guys are trying to accomplish? Like, have you given up on selling the property XYZ?
Okay.
Um, and if they don't respond, then they probably have given up on it, or at least given up on it with you. Maybe they already have someone that's in the ranks or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely a thing. Or that's definitely a good way to go. Another, but that last one is more like after you do a couple of those follow-up texts, then it's like and still a response. Then you use that, have you given up on? What else? Those are typical.
How
Those are
often
pretty good.
how often are you sending these? Because I'm like, obviously the squeaky wheel once it gets the grease, but I'm like, I also don't want to be one of those pain in the butts. And she's like, I want to go through Marjorie again or whatever, or I don't know.
Hmm.
Yes, I
Uh,
in her shoes, and so I don't understand and everything, but at the same time, it's like,
right. Well, I mean, I think you could follow up every couple of days. If that was your last, I'd spend a week following up every couple of days, and then hmm, after that, I haven't blinked for half a second, but um, then after that, like then it tapers down to like every couple of days, and then maybe once a week, and then once a month, and then if still nothing, then you kind of if you then you put it like once every 3 months or so, which is for me what I do. I just make an event in account in my Google Calendar. If you don't have a CRM system, that
right.
does that
Okay.
automatically. So I will make an event asking or make an event about that. So pushing it out, did it answer? So I'm going to push it out 2 weeks or 3 weeks, a month or whatever, and do it that
Okay.
way too to help you remind you. Whatever method makes sense for you, right?
Yeah, I just got thinking about this one the other day, and I'm like, okay, I haven't heard from her for a while, but then
Mhm.
one of the very first houses that we talked together a couple months ago and everything, like that person, like I didn't follow up like I probably should have, and so I'm like kicking myself, but I'm like,
Right.
I don't know.
Yep.
I need to, yes, it's the end of the school year and everything with my kids. It's been crazy, so I haven't been on the calls and whatnot. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I cannot stop that from
Hmm.
stopping me from doing. I can't let that stop me from doing other stuff. So
That's right. Yeah. Because it's never a convenient time to make calls. It's never a convenient time to, when you have a full-time job and or full-time mom, whatever, and still taking care of kids and household and all that stuff.
right,
Like, yeah, so that's a good attitude you have. I like that. It's just, yeah, can't let it stop me. I keep going. Yep.
for
Perfect.
sure.
Kudos, kudos. All right. Perfecto. Okay. Now on any other questions, and then because I want to we move on to buyers 101. Start talking about buyers. Okay. So with buyers, I'm on the camp of there's usually a couple reasons why sales or there's a few reasons why wholesalers can't find buyers to their deals. And it's typically two reasons. The one of the not like the one of the when I hear people complaining about not finding buyers or can't find a buyer for something, it it's because either one, well, I guess there's three reasons actually. And this is the biggest part, right? So one, you're 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 not putting it out there enough. You know, you're not networking, you're not actually doing anything to build a buyer's list or something along those lines, right? So um that's a chunk, but I don't think that's the main chunk. And if they can't find buyers, it's usually because the deal is not a deal. The market will tell you what what the what the market will the market is the best teacher in the world. Let me phrase that. So let me tell you guys a story. What happened to me of one of my very first wholesale deals. It wasn't my first one, but it was probably like the first 10. And so I was building up a buyer's list. And there was this one deal. It was here in Twilla, my hometown or my town I live in now. And so I was like, cool, awesome. This is going to be easy one. I thought the numbers was look pretty good. So I sent it out to my buyers list and got crickets, like nothing, zero, zero, no responses whatsoever. Like crap. Okay. Well, what's going on? Why are my buyers like, what's going? Like, I mean, these are people that have bought my deals before, and it's like, well, why? What's going on? It makes sense to me this deal, and so I got zero response. I had one or two people that maybe asked a question or two, and the more people, more any responses you get, the more responses you get, the better sign that is because that indicates that there's some interest, and so that's a good sign, but not always a guarantee, right? So I was like really confused, like what this doesn't make sense. So then I looked at my because I wasn't trying to make like a $50,000 wholesale fee or whatever. Um, and so I looked at the deal and was like, you know what? I think I really underestimated this rehab and the comps I was being a little loose with. And I was like, yeah, I think it's just overpriced. And so I went back to the seller and I had to renegotiate it. It was I didn't prime him like I do now as far as if we do have to renegotiate down the road or whatever happens. But it's always it was, and this is kind of towards the beginning of the wholesaling career, so still a little like it was a little uncomfortable. It was a tough conversation. Um, but I negotiated down to I negotiated the price down to 20,000. So I got a $20,000 haircut off the price, and then I sent it out again with a $20,000 haircut because it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to try to get $20,000 extra on my wholesale fee. It was like, my wholesale fee was going to be the same and then send it out. And then when I sent it out like that, then I was like, people were chomping at the bits to try to get the deal. Like, oh, okay, yeah, now these numbers make sense. Now it looks like, yeah, I can make that 40,000 on it or 50,000 or whatever, depending what their numbers are, right? So that was a good little, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. And that's a good indication to allow the market to teach me what is a good deal. Because looking at a certain deal, I mean, it's when you're looking like the average just fix and flip deal, right? Because that's gonna be your typical buyers is someone that wants to fix and flip. When you get into more niche areas or more niche deals that you're trying to wholesale, the buyer pool usually is reduced, right? Because you'll have people that do flips, and then they'll buy rentals and things like that. So, but if you have a deal where maybe it's like it'll make sense as a short-term rental, or whatever. So then you may have people that might be interested in that if they want to do short-term rental. Otherwise it doesn't make sense. So like that's going to be, you need to do a lot more networking and a lot more, it's going to take a lot more legwork to find that particular buyer when you have like a very unique deal or different deal than an average fix and flip. But for the most part, that's the main problem is like the deal is not a deal, and that's why you can't find a buyer. Me and Revy, we oh, he's not on the call, darn it. But me and Revy, he and I, there's this property in Florida that we had under contract that we're joint venturing on, and we just couldn't find a buyer. And the feedback we got from our buyers was that like the price point was just too high. And that they were at but the thing is, they were all coming back with very similar price points that they would pick it up at. Like they couldn't pick it up at the 4.7. It would be more closer to like the 3 million versus the 4.7. That makes sense for them to pick up that property, even though it's still cash flow, but with the location and everything like that. So whenever I do get responses like that and they're kind of across the board, and someone like, sorry, I can't come with a price, I always try to ask, well, what would make sense for you? What is the price point if we can get it down and you would say yes to you, what would it be? Even if I have a bunch of other people submitting offers, I still try to ask that question because it gives me a better idea where those buyers are actually at when they want to buy the deal, actually close on it. And it's really nice. So when you do have a bunch of those, when they say like I can't hit this price point, if I'm trying to wholesale this deal at 500,000, and they're saying like, yeah, the most I can do, like my max would be 450. That's where it makes sense for me. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm getting a couple, and if I get like at least a verbal commitment, especially if I've done deals with the person before, and like, yeah, if you get it for 450, then yeah, we're ready to go. Like, okay, cool. So then I go back to the seller and we can renegotiate. And it's a lot easier to renegotiate that price point when you know you're going to close. You know what I mean? Where it's not so much like, yeah, I'm going to try to find a buyer at this price point, or it's like, yeah, we're going to try and get the funds to do this transaction or whatever whatever you're saying. And getting getting them to accept that offer when you know it's going to close. I mean, you have like multiple people or one person like 100%. Yeah, get at that price point. I'm ready to go, and that way negotiate down to 430 for whatever 440, and then you wholesale at 450, and then bam, everyone's a winner. So it's just easier to negotiate down when you know what the seller's price are coming. This is more like negotiating and when you're talking to the buyers. Um, what questions do you guys have about buyers? Because we can go into building a buyers list, negotiating with buyers too, right? So I think we probably want to get into like how to find buyers, right? I think that's maybe the step number one. Like, how do I find buyers? You can't negotiate them if you can't find them, right? Here, let me share my screen here. Your thoughts, questions, comments. Is this all foreign? Mhm. Okay, okay. That's funny. Okay, so the quickest way to find buyers, there's a couple different ways to find buyers, and they all work. Nothing doesn't work as long as you are working. It'll work. Probably the easiest way to get a buyer's list is just Facebook.com. Okay, so depending on what area the area that you're doing the deal in, right? If you're doing virtual wholesaling or you're just doing deals, in your local market, I love Facebook groups because it's like, sure, I got a decent amount of followers on my Facebook, and if you tie in Instagram, whatnot, like, sure, I mean, getting close to 7,000 on Facebook, that's awesome. But it's really nice if um if you're able to find something if you have zero followers, right? How do I reach out to people and find buyers looking for stuff? That's the beauty of Facebook groups. It's like, okay, if I can give you a magical wand that gives you 30,000 followers, do you think that'd be and they're all involved in real estate? Do you think that'd help you find some buyers? Like, yeah, probably. Well, that's what Facebook groups are. So what I recommend is that whatever market it in, I just put in the state, city, maybe, and just do real estate. Do real estate investing. You can do a variation, flipping, whatever it may be, right? And so it's going to pop up, and then I would join as many as you possibly can, right? Maybe just do a goal like join 10 a day or something along those lines. Um, Open house. Well, and if you do put it in real estate, a lot of times we get just like agent stuff, which sometimes is good. It's 100 for sale, investor network. Let's do that. Mm-mm. I don't want anything else. Okay, real estate off market, cash buyers. Do that, all that fun stuff, right? So start joining a bunch of groups. I mean, I'm not going to join the 78, 80 people that join that one group. No point. So now we got. So let's just use Utah real estate group. Okay, so the post that I make is something along those lines like this. So hmm, okay, so with let me do simple, more simple. That's a word. Ta-da. My brand color, boom. Okay, I'm closing a few deals a month, and you don't have to. You can even say you don't even have to say that first line. Like that's fine, especially if you're not closing a few deals a month. But it's like I'm closing a few, or who needs to be on my wholesale list to get off market deals with creative financing? Drop your email. Drop your email. Dang it, I want it. All right, yeah. So I close a few deals a month. Who needs to be on my wholesale list to get off market deals with creative financing? So and you don't have to do creative financing, but I know that gets people's that 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 gets their attention. So I would post. Oh, I could have added a group too, couldn't I? But I would post that stuff in as many groups as you possibly can, right? So uh, you can just do a search and let's do you can do the searches and get whatever existing groups are. So you want to make a bunch of those posts, and you'll find that some groups are really adamant and really good at throwing out their emails and then their information and whatnot. Um, some groups not so much, right? So I mean, which is fine. That's just going to happen. But add group, that's cool. There we are. That's the way to do it. So depending on your phone, on the website, and it's all a little different. But if I can the add group and send that one post to multiple places, that's that's a nice little trick there to make things a lot easier. So Utah Investor Network, entrepreneurs, um, selling house cheat codes. Let's do this Utah one, and then contractors, distressed properties, business and services. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it out there to like whatever that was, like 10 different groups. It's like the same post. Like done. And then within a matter of hours, you're gonna have, anywhere from 30 to a couple hundred emails that are in your group. Done. Bam. Is there any questions about like the post, like finding buyers on Facebook, on social media specifically? Does that make sense? And it is so easy that you can start doing this now, even though don't have a deal necessarily at the ready. But it's definitely something you want to like keep in mind, and like this is something you can do, like this is what I call poop money, or poop time. I'm in the John. I'll just make this post here and there, and then um, it's you can do it during net time, no extra time. So that's the cool part. Okay. Any other questions on the social media? I'm fine. Does that make sense, guys? Is that easy? Is that too easy? That's why that was like the initial start of how I built my buyers list. That was my initial start, was just going on social media, posting it out there, blasting it out there, and people would just respond to it. It's crazy. I mean, I was shocked on how easy it was, to be honest. But that's not the only way to do it either. That's just a quick way to do it. Because the pros and cons of finding buyers on social media, it's not necessarily even a con, but as a pro, you'll get a decent sized buyer list pretty quick in that area that you need to do it in, that you're looking to wholesale. The con is like, just like if you're doing this like on the forums on Reddit, or on bigger pockets. Forums are where wannabe investors go to die, and so you'll get a lot of tire kickers, and that they'll drop their email. They just want to look at the deals, which is fine. Like that's no problem, right? As long as they're open up the emails, like I don't care, because then it helps my open rate. So like fine. If they're not, then I'll kick them out. So not you can get 100 buyers really really quick, but they're not necessarily gonna be, all of them are gonna be actual real buyers, right? Um, Another thing is, like, if I'm seeing people posting like on groups, or in my own feed, and they're like, hey, I just doing another flip. This is awesome. And then I'll just reach out to them directly, like, hey, listen, I'm a wholesaler, I'm a new wholesaler, or whatever. Like, I'm just a wholesaler, and it seems like you're doing flips. What kind of things you're looking for? And if they can give you some criteria, and then yeah, awesome. You can definitely just hit. You can add them to your buyers list. Um, and depending how organized you want to be, you can have a buyers list where it's like, this is email, whether it's like an Excel sheet, or it's just in your contacts. Um, Whether it's like, yeah, this is my buyers list that I want to do short-term rental, or this is my buyers list I want to do. Like, I don't necessarily I don't go into that much detail into my list. Like, so I'll send it out, because someone that's a buy and hold person might see a flip, like, oh, that's like close to my house. I actually might want to do that. Or a flipper, they've they've been all doing flips, but then you send out a deal that'd be really good buy and hold, and like, oh, actually, yeah, I just closed a flip. I'm looking to park the money somewhere. That'd be a great opportunity, right? So I don't necessarily block them off that way, because of the possibilities of people wanting different type of things. But I know people that do, and that's totally fine. One one thing that I've seen on the YouTube university gurus, what they say, and I think it's like one of the worst advice you can do. They say is one of the first things you need to do is not find sellers, but find buyers. And you're going to find a buyer that does a really that actually is closing deals. So they're going to go out and find this one buyer. Cool. And find their buy box. Like, they're looking for a flip that needs to have this much in spread. It needs to be whatever their criteria is. The rehab under this amount. And so that one person goes out trying to find that specific deal for that one person. Okay. So let's just say that they're just calling people in that small area, or as far as like leads goes, they're knocking on those doors. Um, and what happens if they find a deal where it doesn't fit that person's buy list, or even better yet, what happens when they find that deal that fits that person's buy list, but maybe they're tapped out, I have plenty of buyers like they when they're ready to go, they're like, awesome, give me this is just what I'm looking for. Here's the money, let's close. Um, and then but if I would have gave them, but and the other times I send them deals and it's like, yeah, I'm tapped out. I got 3 projects right now. I can't do a fourth. So what happens if that happens to that wholesaler that spent all the time finding now they have to find a buyer for that deal. Now they're like, oh, it took me so long to find that one buyer, and it's so I think that's 100% ass backwards if you're finding the pardon my French, it's 100% backwards if if you're looking for a buyer first and then just trying to find a deal that fits that buyer because most of you are the age that probably recognize this movie. Some of you won't, but the Field of Dreams. If you remember Field of Dreams, what did the voice say to him? Come on, don't make me feel that old. Come on, people.
If you build it, they will come.
If you build it, they will come. It's the same with if the deal's good enough, and that's my as far as like the like deals. Like if the deal's good enough, they will come. Right? You do gotta put yourself. You gotta make those posts. You gotta make those calls. You gotta do things to find those buyers. Absolutely, they're not going to come magically. But when they do, that like if it's a good deal, they're going to come, right? And it may be more challenging the more like I mentioned earlier, the more niche deal you have, you know. But that's when you need to kind of reach out and find the buyer for that niche deal, and always keeping you know as you're trying to find a buyer for that deal, you're keeping track of all of the emails, the person's names, so you have the buyer list for your next deal. So it's not going to be as hard to find a buyer because you already have 50 people that are interested in looking at looking at your deals. So it's gonna be a lot easier than just add the next one. So every time I send out a deal, I usually add like 30 or so people to my buyers list because when I mark it out there, then you know people want to, oh, I didn't get that deal. Let me send that to me. Great, awesome. What's your email? So even if I have like a link where I can send them the deal, like we can look at it, like yeah, give me your email and I'll add you to my list and I'll send you this. I'll send you the info on this deal. You know, and if they don't want, I don't want to be on your list. Like, okay, well, that's fine. If you don't want to be on it, you don't want to be on it. That's fine. It'd be weird. I don't think anyone had that happen, but I mean, sure. So that's just my vision on why spend your time finding the deal versus spend your time finding a buyer first, because buyers can come because if it's Field of Dreams, if the deal's good enough, it'll come and the market will teach you. Like the one in Florida, where like it was just too overpriced for what it was. Pure and simple. Even if it was creative financing, it still didn't make sense. So the market taught us that. Um, Another good way. So we have social media. Okay. Another great way to find buyers is title companies. So title companies are this is a good way to find buyers and also actually find leads for deals. So title companies, but once people start closing with the title company and they're investor friendly, they're gonna know who's the real closers, who aren't. They're gonna know that this guy he closes 2 deals a month, 5 deals a month, whatever. Or even like once every quarter he's coming in with another deal. Like this guy's closing a deal. They're gonna know those. They're gonna recognize them. They're gonna have relationships with these people, you know. And these are like the real. These guys would be like these guys and gals are like the real deal, right? They are the real buyers. They are really buying closing deals, and they're looking for more. So contacting title companies in the area that you're looking in, you know, finding investor friendly, wholesale friendly title companies is crucial in the area that you're looking to do it. But contacting the title companies can get you some really solid buyers that can just be amazing on helping you find buyers. Now, when you have the conversation with the title company, it's just like with any professional, and you guys heard me say this before, but the mindset needs to be, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Not, hey, I have a deal. I need to find a buyer. Can you help me find a buyer? That's you asking for something versus like, how can I help you? I mean, I guess that is asking something, but you know, or you're showing them how you can help them potentially in getting more business or whatever. So when I start the conversation, I usually try to feel them out a little bit, see if they are wholesale friendly. like, have you worked with wholesalers before? Do you work with investors? Do you do creative financing? And the best scenario for for consistent, when I send them, consistent deals, is like, yeah, oh yeah, I love working with wholesalers because they send me deals like they can send me 5 deals a month. It's great, instead of like doing a flipper only sending me like one every 6 months or every 4 months or whatever. So if they give me that response, I'm like, okay, cool, awesome. This is the person I want to talk. I want to do business, whether they give me a lead or not, right? Um, or when if they're like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we don't really do work with wholesalers. I mean, we can, but yeah, it's not something that we search out for or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's cool. So far as like a personal note, like, yeah, if they didn't give me a lead, I'm not gonna throw deals their way, because they're not. I want the person to know more than me when they're doing their transaction. I want the professionals to know more than me. That's why I love going to Christina. I love going to Whitney in GT title and in REI title. Like those gals know so much more than I do as far as transactions, different ways you can kind of structure things. That, I mean, a lot of stuff that I've learned was like, oh, hey, well, why don't you do this? And oh, I can't do that. Okay, cool. Like when I was going to do a double close on a deal where we had to bring in an extra set of funds because we're in Utah, and so we couldn't use the same funds as the buyer, and so we would have to do a double closing because of the particular situation. And Christine's like, well, we can just put it in a trust, and then then the seller puts the property into the trust, and then you do have a joint venture with the buyer. The buyer's going to pay you this much, and then the seller basically just sells the trust to the buyer for that amount, and then that way you can get your fee without having to do a double close, which saves in closing costs, and which is more money for us, and we don't have to raise an extra the first set of money to buy the property, then sell it to the investor the same day. So it just by having good people to work with, like, save in that deal, saved me thousands of dollars. Just and then now when I do need a double close, because I don't do it very often, it's very rare. But when I do need double close, like, I'm not going to double close. I'm going to do the trust. I'm going to throw it in a trust, do the exact same thing Christine told me. So you want to have the professionals know more than you about the strategy you're doing. You want, ideally, you don't want to be teaching them, unless sometimes agents, you can, if they're finding deals, you can do a little teaching and whatnot, what you're looking for. But you guys get my point, right? There was a little bit of squirrel moment there, but so that's ideal. And then once you kind of get a feel for them of what they do, and I would ask this question if I'm looking for buyers, whether they're investor friendly or not. So I would say, I'm looking to close multiple deals, and I actually have a deal under contract right now that we're going to wholesale. We got it. The contract's transferable. I would love to close this property with you. When you think of someone that does fix and flips in this area, usually in this price range, does any investor that has come through your doors and done closings, does any investor come to mind? And so then they're like, well, I mean, yeah, this person comes to mind. This person, like, okay, great. I mean, because the reason why, and they may not be super keen on giving you their information, right? Because they even give the person give them permission to do so. So it's like, yeah, I mean, because if you can think of someone, and then you give me the referral, as far as, like, giving an introduction to this buyer, and we actually close on it, we wholesale the deal. I would love to do business here for this transaction, at the very least, and who knows, maybe down the road we can do a lot more. And so now it's like, okay, cool. I'm not just giving you a referral for referral's sake, but I'm giving you a referral so you guys can close here instead of somewhere else. And this could potentially lead to even more business, because maybe I didn't think they were investor friendly, but they were actually really, really good, and they were handled the complicated situation perfectly. Like, okay, yeah, these people were actually great to work with. I'll probably I might do more. I'll probably do more business with them, especially if they give me more referrals or whatnot. I've had Christine give people my name, because they were like trying to wholesale a deal in Grantsville and whatever, and lived out here. It's like, yeah, talk to. I know he's out there, and he knows what he's doing. This is a little bit complicated transaction you're trying to do. So here's Jared's phone number. And the funny thing is, like, he already knew me. Like, oh yeah, I know Jared. It's cool. Yeah, let me go talk to him. So building those relationships can build more deals one way or another, right? And since you are on the phone with title companies, another question I like to ask title companies, this is how you find deals, is like, hey, while we're on here, because I do want to send more deals your way, have you had any deals in the last like a couple months where they were ready to close, but maybe like the buyer just couldn't perform, and so like the transaction never happened, and it could have been a really good investment property for someone, whether it's a flip or buy and hold or anything like that. And because there's how many times do I get things under contract and just falls through? I mean, I usually get it takes on average like 3 contracts to close one deal. So I got to get 3 things under contract to close one. That's my number. Some people are a lot different, some more, less, whatever, right? But that's the thing, right? I mean, if you talk to Dave Hernandez, like he's done less transactions than me. However, when he gets things under contract, he's like a 90% close. That's really good. That's really good, right? So even though I've done more deals with him, like the ones he does get, like he closes them, right? Well, I mean, the contracts he does, he closes. At least that's the last he told me, right? So, but point being that they know like the situation of the seller typically, right? And they know the numbers. They can even look them up. And so like, oh yeah, there was this one property. Here's his address, and sometimes they'll even give you like the seller's number because they probably have it. And so you can ask for it. Like, oh, do you have the? Yeah, what properties that were like almost closed but maybe didn't? I would love to maybe reach out and see if I can help them in the situation and then close them here. So you guys, you already put into the work finding the title. Let's just get it done. Let's do this thing. So, getting referrals from title companies, right? You want them to on your side. You want to be you're the first person that they're thinking, right? Because you're going to send so many deals their way potentially, right? So, but you're going to think of the mindset of like, how can I help this title company have more business or whatever they're looking to do? You know what I mean? It's typically business. How can I give these guys more business? How can I be of service of these people, of this person? So those are the type of that's how you mindset going towards like title companies. Is there any questions about like finding buyers or even deals with title companies or like talking to them? Thoughts, questions?
I want to share the experience I had with Christina.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was so resourceful, helpful, because I was kind of like, my
Amazing.
first lease option deal, and she kind of walked me through some details on the possibilities, on how to structure it and all those things. So
Yeah.
she was so helpful, to be honest.
And the thing is, especially with Christina, like her spending the time with Frank doing all that stuff because it was a little bit of a complex transaction that they were talking about. But I mean, she does not need Frank's business, not even a little. She doesn't need his business. Like she's doing just fine with whether Frank does deals there or not. But the
Yes,
fact that she's willing to take the time
yes.
and help him
I asked
structure this
her.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. And she really doesn't ask it. I mean, she's like, when you're closing with me. That's kind of said without without being said. But there's
Yeah.
a reason why she doesn't need Frank's deal is because she has that mindset too. Of like, how can I serve
Yeah.
you, Frank? And I know, and then just by reciprocity law, like that, he's gonna want to
Yes.
do stuff with her anyways because she's awesome and she's willing to help him without needing something in return.
And
Yeah.
possibly we're gonna sign it to one of her friends. So possibly,
Right.
potential.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Big
that would
company.
be even awesome.
You got this deal, and it's kind of a niche deal. Like it's really is like the best option is for like an end buyer, like the person wants to live in there. I think it's a great deal for that. And
Yeah.
Christine's like, I got friends that are looking for some creative financing deals for themselves. Like, how cool is that? So, like the exact thing I'm saying here, Frank pretty much is doing very similar, right? He went to title company, got the information, And she even like, yeah, I actually have a friend that might be interested, or a couple of friends that might be interested in something like this. Like, oh, well, kick butt, let's do this. You know, so it's phenomenal to build buyers lists, but get potential leads. The title companies can be your best friend, and when they're on your side, when it comes down to it, like when you build those relationships, I know we're talking about buyers, but this is I mean, this is still, and this is good information though. When you build those relationships, and when it's like, crap, I need to close this deal in 2 days because there the auction's happening and it's already been extended, they can't extend it anymore. I know I can go to Christine or Whitney and say, hey, I need to close this in 2 days, and like, son of a, okay, fine, yes, let's do this, and get it and get the job done, right? I mean, they gotta, and a lot of times, sometimes they gotta put the other projects they're working on, doesn't close for a week and a half or so. They got to put those on hold, even though they were there first, just to get yours in. So it's something that I don't take lightly when I ask for the emergency. Like, we need to close this thing fast, because she gets it. She gets it. Like, okay, yeah, this is going to stop the auction. It's going to help the person. But you want to work with those type of people, like 100%. Okay, so that's one way of finding buyers. Okay. Um, Again, no other questions? We're good. Another one is going to networking events. So REI, like Utah RIA events, or whatever, wherever you're at RIA. You can go RIA.com. I think it's a website, and look up, like, because they have like networking events. Not just RIA. Go to the Renatus events. Go to any real estate investing networking event. You don't need to be a speaker. You just need to get there, mock up some cards. If you don't have mock up some cards, you can download an app that'll like, the touch here or whatever, and it transfers your information over there. So you don't even have to get fancy cards, because half the time they get thrown away and lost anyway. So like, whatever. Like, there's a gazillion apps you can do just to start searching, and to start networking and building your buyers list. That is a great way to start building your buyers list. And a lot of times in like, for example, the RIAs, they'll actually have everyone put their emails, names, numbers, and stuff like that. Then they'll share it with everyone. So everyone has everyone's contact information. Like, cool, I just got 50 people, all their contact information ready to add to my buyers list, that are local in the area, and they've met and seen me, and they've seen my face, and vice versa. So like that, it's not going to be, there's already a small connection built already, you know? So networking is a really good way to do it, whether that's virtually or in person. In person is gonna be better, but it does take more time. But you'll build better connections. Any other questions about building the buyers list on, like we were saying before? I do want to go over real quick on. Let's see here.
Jared, I have a quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
Have you ever tried to list your wholesaling or wholesale listings on the MLS?
To do something like that, you would have to have a novation agreement, so it wouldn't necessarily be a wholesale. But if I'm wholesaling it, I can't act as the seller, because I'm not. I'm not selling the property. I'm selling my rights to the contract. So, oh, wait. Are you saying if it was on the MLS and then I wholesaled it? Is that what you're saying?
No, like if you find a deal and you
Mhm.
wanted to blast it on the MLS, can you do
Okay.
that?
You can't do that because you're not
Oh,
under the traditional wholesaling agreements and the contracts. You can't do that because you don't own the property yet, or at all, right? So wholesaling, we are not selling the property. We are just
selling
selling
the
our
contract.
rights, our equitable interest in the property, which is basically our option, or we're selling our rights to the contract to purchase the property.
But how about if you do an addendum and ask the seller that you write it on
Yep.
an addendum that this contract is assignable?
Yes, assignable is, yes, yeah, absolutely. So if it's like a regular contract and you have denim saying that this contract is assignable, that's fine, but you still can't put it in MLS yet. What you can do, there's a way you can do it though. You have to have a novation agreement. It's called novation.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily wholesaling, but it is novation. So basically what it is how novation works. And I have not done a complete novation deal for transparency, just so you guys know, right? But I understand, I know what it is. So what novation is basically it's another type of an agreement where it's you're gonna do the seller's giving you permission to market this on the MLS specifically with an agent, and that you are going to make the final decisions. And this contract is giving you equitable interest, because you have to put like a earnest money in, and so now you have equitable interest in the property. And so then and they give you permission to make all the decisions as far as the selling. And in that agreement, there's like a bar. So like the seller is going to get like minimum of, let's just say 300,000. Okay.
Mhm.
And you're going to, and so anything above that, then that you're going to be able to keep. So if they're like, you know what, I don't want to deal with any of the stuff. I've just, lost my uncle. I don't want to, worry about any of this stuff. And it's like, okay, great. Well, let's do a novation agreement where you give me permission to market MLS, and I'll make the decision. And then if I sell it, like you're effectively guaranteed to get that 300,000. And if I get anything higher than that, then it comes on my side. So that's all in that novation agreement. And with that agreement, so it's not necessarily wholesaling. It's very, very similar. Like the word's a little bit different, but the basic concept is the same. But then that allows you the permission to market it, to get an agent. If you're an agent, you can list it, or and then when it sells, after closing costs are paid out, then title company pays the seller the 300. Then you get the other 50,000 if it's over, minus closing costs or agent fees. So yes, so you can't wholesale it, but you can do novation to do something like that.
I have heard of the novation agreement.
Oh, okay, good.
But also, I found this on the book I read a couple of months ago. So
Oh, nice.
This guy was saying that you can get a better price actually on listing on the MLS, because most of those buyers are looking to buy in whole. They are not looking to, well, mainly for flippers, right? When you're doing a novation agreement, most of those buyers are looking to keep that property. And then
novation agreement, it could be any. Because you could do a novation agreement, throw on the market for a really good flip or buy and hold or anything like that at all.
But his point was that you can get a better margin, a better profit if you list it on the MLS doing a novation agreement.
Right.
Because most of those buyers are the ones that go to MLS. Most of them are looking to buy in whole, so they are like willing to pay top dollar, basically. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I think there's definitely potential there. There's things where I've pitched novation a couple of times where it was like it didn't make any sense to flip it, didn't make any sense for like a traditional buy and hold, but they wanted this price point, and it was a little bit under what the market value was, but it just didn't make sense like to try to buy it and hold on to it, like. And so that would be a great scenario for a novation, because maybe the property is in great condition, it's brand new, it's only a couple years old, they kept really good condition of it, they fell some hard times, or they just need to sell whatever, or for whatever reason. And so it doesn't, but they don't have a ton of equity maybe. And so it's like, oh man, that's a bummer, because I can't buy it and still have it cash flow, or get on a contract, have the end buyer have it cash flow, but maybe this could be a great option for someone who wants to live in it, and the best way to find someone that wants to live in it is like throw an MLS. This is like done deal. It looks really good. And I think that's another way. So there definitely potential of getting more spread out. I think I would agree with you there, depending on what the deal is. But having that novation in your back pocket gives you more options too when you find a deal when there's just not a lot of spread, but you might be able to throw in the MLS because it's, you know what I mean? So it does kind of, it does vary, but I think it depends. But with on the market stuff, there's people looking for buy and hold, looking for flips. If they're investor world, yeah, people are looking for whatever they're looking for on your buyers list. They're looking the same thing on the MLS.
So if you did that novation, can you do that in any state? Number one. Number two, would you want to work with a realtor if you're not licensed?
Right. So in any state, I think you can. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure you can. You just gotta make sure you're using the right documents and saying the right things. So you'd want to consult an attorney, obviously, but I think you can. And working with an agent, I think that'd be great. So it depends on what you want to do, right? So with the Novation, if you have like a flat fee service in the area, because you can look at a contract and understand kind of, or depending on what level's at, right? Maybe your comfort level. But for the most part, I think most of us, especially with education, if we don't know, we know who to ask at the very least, right? So, but we can look at
Right.
an offer and see if it's a good offer or not. Does this make sense for us? Is this gonna, are they, how strong is this offer, right? So with the Novation, if you're not an agent, then there's plenty of those flat fee services that you can list the properties on. They don't do much after that. Like they'll basically put it on there, and you got to, if you want to do any extra marketing, that's on you. Like they'll throw in the MLS and like that's it, right? But that's why it's flat fee. Or build that relationship with your agent friend, or and like, hey, listen, I'm gonna start doing some innovations here, or when something comes up and I might want to do innovation. Here is, I just unplugged myself. If what are, or like, yeah, I need to list it with somebody. Are you good with this? Can your broker, this would be okay? Because maybe some brokers aren't okay doing innovations. They don't want their agents to do innovations. Who knows? Sometimes brokers are funny, right? So like I would just reach out. Have you done innovations? Have you done innovations before? All right, is your broker cool with it? Awesome. All right. If we do something, can we work something out? I don't know, however you want to, you can, if all they're doing is just listing it,
They
then
would surely be able to.
what was that, Rachel?
Decide. I mean, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah,
you
it was
hear
a little
me?
bit choppy, but it's coming through now.
Okay. They would probably be able to know the realtor. They would be able to know a way that they could make something out of the deal. If you said, yeah, I'd like to work with you, and you make something and I make something, they would know what to do or how to structure that for themselves, right? As long as
Well,
you
yeah,
agreed to it.
for them, it's like they're getting their commission.
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
that's
Okay.
that's where they're making the money, right?
Okay, I didn't know they were still getting that full commission. Okay.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be full. It could be whatever, whatever you guys agree upon.
Gotcha.
If
So
they're
they would be able to structure it in a way where they could make money, so they would want to work with you. I guess that's where I was going with
right, yeah. So they're gonna make money
that. Okay.
regardless, right? And
Okay.
I think it's whatever, if it's similar to like, hey, listen, I know how to read a contract, whatever. I don't need you to do anything extra. I'm planning to do all this stuff. So can you are you willing to list my properties, my innovation properties, for like just 1%? Now if they're gonna do more,
Got it.
like
Okay.
they're gonna start
Thanks.
market, they're gonna do more stuff, like they're gonna the pictures are coming out of their pocket maybe, because a lot of agents will do that too, right? So which is, I mean, I like those agents.
Right.
And like, oh yeah, I get it. If you're doing like the full on 9 yards, then yeah, you should get your let me give you a 3 or 2.5%, and let's just keep on going, right? You got to make sure the numbers make sense too, right? Because typically, if
Right.
your innovation, I know we're kind of going deeper into this, but like if it's 300,000 is what the seller wants, right? Then anything above, then typically, and you can say whatever you want to say in the agreement, but like the agent fees come out of your end in closing costs, things like that. So you're kind of like, hey, this is, if I'm able to sell it, I have to sell it, so at least you get the 300. If not, then I can't sell it. Is basically what that kind of says. And then so you got to make sure that those agent fees aren't, like, I'm more than happy to pay agent their fee and all that stuff, like no problem. I just want to make sure I'm making more than them though. I mean, so if they all they did is listed it and they're making more than me, I'm like, oh man, this sucks.
Yeah, that's not a good deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. Like I mean, nothing with them, nothing
Cute.
against them getting wrong, making money, but I'm just saying, run your numbers accordingly. So like, that isn't a feel bad moment.
Right.
You're good. But that's a whole nother.
Right. Right.
Another thing, guys. So tomorrow is oh my gosh, Don't Knock
Florida.
Bonanza. Yes, thank you.
I did mine today.
How'd that go?
Where I'm going home. Nothing again, but people answered the door this time in a nice neighborhood, and some other neighborhoods to go next time. And I have some I'm going to look up, even though they said no, because they're kind of run down. So it went good.
I say we do Magna, guys. I think that's the city that we need to that we need to hit. What do you guys think? It's out in the sticks. It's closer to where I live than where you guys, but or is there a city you guys prefer? We can yell at some cities and we can get that. Like I'm down. There's pre-foreclosures everywhere, so we're good on leads. But
Yay.
is that speak down for roll your piece? We're going Magna? Where you guys want to go? What city?
I got another meeting, but I'm going to ask a question about picking your places. I'll ask it in the
Yeah.
community later.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you so much.
You
Bye,
betcha.
y'all.
But any other questions on this, guys? Or no? That's in Twilla. No one Twilla. Oh, that's dumb of me. I was looking in Twilla for a park to meet at. That's hilarious. No thoughts? We're good? We're doing Magna then? Yeah? So there's like old Magna and then there's newer Magna. Let's do like right in the middle. I think that'd be good. So people can make that good pleasant. Let's do that's a high school baseball field. Yeah, this will work. Okay, so I'm gonna put in the calendar. You guys are quiet today. Let's see.
I'm gonna try and come tomorrow. It's just that my daughter's birthday is on on Sunday, and so we might be celebrating. But I might just come for a little bit and take off. So
Okay. No, I get that. It's also Mother's Day in Mexico. It's the 10th.
oh yeah,
So
that's right.
That's Mother's Day in Mexico. My kid's mom, she celebrates both the Mexico one and the US one because she can, because why not? The joys of dual citizenship, I guess. Okay, so I'll put in it'll be in the school community in the calendar for tomorrow. I'm updating the address as we speak, and bam, that, and then okay, we'll be there. Save, booyah. Okay, awesome sauce, guys. Okay, this is gonna be a fun event. I'm excited for it. And this is for, I mean, anyone that's, even if they're not in the current games, they're welcome to come if they're part of the community and whatnot. So if you have someone that's interested in learning how to knock some doors or whatever and wanted to get some stuff done, let's meet up. Okay. Well, awesome, guys. I appreciate you all, and let's get this show on the road. Okay. Look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow.
Thanks, Jared.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.